The other victim has been identified as Gokanthang, hailing from Khajang in Churachandpur. Now, what you see on your screen, these are exclusive visuals here in Northeast Live that we're bringing to you right from Churachandpur. The abduction happened on Saturday, and the two individuals have been released this morning. Well, these are exclusive visuals that we're bringing to you here on the channel that you can see on your screen. But just 12 after the duo were abducted by suspected rebels, now the two victims who were kidnapped are Kam Muan Pao. He's the founder of Zomi Fin's music band and also the chief of MT Jaltam village. Well, the other victim has been identified as Gokanthang, hailing from Khajang in Churachandpur. All right, we will get you all the details from Ground Zero, but like I mentioned earlier, the abduction happened on Saturday and they were released this morning. And these are exclusive visuals on your screen. Well, joining me on the broadcast this morning is my colleague MK Henry, who brought us this story. Henry, if you can hear me, they were abducted on Saturday, and just yesterday we talked about the Bolero that was abandoned and found, and now the two have been released this morning. Give us more details.
This is apparently because of the measures taken up, because of the SARS operation conducted, and because of the pressures put into the abductors by the security forces of Churachandpur, especially the police, that the abductors have decided to release finally. The abduction, as we have pointed out, has taken place since Saturday. So yesterday around 3:34, the releasing take place. So after the release of the two abducted persons from Henglep. Henglep is a very far off place. It is a subdivision, one of the subdivisions in Churachandpur district. So from there, they were taken towards Churachandpur town. And this morning, early, around 3:45 a.m., they have they have reached home. So this is the development.
So Henry, how were they released in terms of are there conditions attached to it, or were they released unconditionally? Because let's not forget the ransom that was put out by the insurgent groups.
In this connection, we have raised a question to Kam Muan Pao also and his family members as to whether the ransom has been paid or not. But then they were very much unwilling to disclose anything, saying that it is too early to say anything about the conditions for the release of the chief and his accomplice.
All right, before I let you go, talk to us a little bit about their health condition since they've disappeared from Saturday. Are they in like perfect shape, or what are you hearing from your sources?
They were telling us that they have been released unconditionally.
All right, my colleague there. Yes, go on. Yes, go on, Henry.
However, the vehicles which were left, which were abandoned at the forest at the time of their abduction, could not be started, and so the vehicles and the other Activa were lying in the forest still. So this is what we know, and the condition of the release is stated to be unconditional and on humanitarian ground. And Kamalal a while ago have told us that they were not even tortured, they were not even blindfolded, they were treated in a very decent manner.
All right.
And her daughter, that Hatnu, expressed appreciation and gratitude to all the public who helped them in securing the release of her father.
All right. My colleague there, MK Henry, joining me from Churachandpur. Thank you so much for bringing us all those developments. Now, meanwhile, daughter of the abducted village chief has expressed gratitude to one and all who have helped in securing her father's safe release. Let's listen into that.
Today, for the safety return of my father, I express my sincere gratitude to uh, our Heavenly Father and all the people who are involved for the safety return of my father. For today, for the safety return of my father, I express my sincere gratitude to uh, our Heavenly Father and all the people who are involved for the safety return of my father.
Let's take a look now at another big international national focus rather that we're focusing. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi has been asked to rejoin the investigation of the Enforcement Directorate in the National Herald case today. Well, this comes after nearly 10 hours of intense grilling by the federal agency on Monday. It may be recalled here that the Enforcement Directorate's grilling of the former Congress president on Monday took place amidst the satyagraha launched by party workers in protest against the ED summon in the National Herald case. Well, Gandhi arrived at the ED office in the national capital with his sister and Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra amid a huge march by the party workers along with him to the office. Now, various senior leaders, including Randeep Surjewala, the Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel, and the Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, took part in the party's Satyagraha march. Now, the incident has sparked a fresh row between the ruling BJP and the opposition Congress, in which the latter have accused the ruling party of being vindictive and misusing the federal agency.
लोगों में आक्रोश है और स्वाभाविक आक्रोश है, आम जनता में आक्रोश भी है। मैंने कहा ना आपको, इसमें कानून सबके लिए समान होता है। हम उस इश्यू पे नहीं जा रहे हैं कि राहुल गांधी सोनिया गांधी को नोटिस क्यों दिया, पर जिस तरीका अपनाया गया नोटिस देने का भी, पूछताछ करने का भी, रात को 12 बजे का पूछताछ कर रहे हो, ऐसा कौन सा जुल्म कर दिया, कौन सी मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग हो गई है, किस रूप में हो गई है, कितनी अरबों खरबों की हो गई है। जहाँ अरबों खरबों की मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग होती है तो पूछते नहीं तुम लोग। अगर इस प्रकार के अगर हरकतें करेंगे लोग तो इसका मतलब पूरे मुल्क में जो कंपनी बनी हुई है, एनजीओ के रूप में काम कर रही है कई कंपनी, कई ईडी घुस जाएगी उनको आरोप लगा करके, तो ये खतरनाक पहल हो रही है देश के अंदर, नई पहल हो रही है। आज जो लोग पकड़े गए हमारे, उनको अब जाके छोड़ा है। उस अखबार को सपोर्ट किया एआईसीसी ने, रिकॉर्ड के अंदर है, शेयर ट्रांसफर हुए सबके रिकॉर्ड के अंदर है, प्रॉफिट कोई नहीं ले सकता इसके अंदर। उसके बावजूद भी ईडी ने केस को पहले हमने सुना समाप्त कर दिया था 2015 के अंदर, 2015 के अंदर 2015 के केस समाप्त कर दिया, क्लोज कर दिया, उसके बाद वापस इसको खोला गया है।
ये लड़ाई है और ये लड़ाई जब तक राहुल गांधी जी और कांग्रेस लीडरशिप पर अत्याचार जारी रहेगा, उनकी आवाज को खोखल करने की कोशिश होगी, दबाने की कोशिश होगी, तब तक हमारा संघर्ष, कांग्रेस का संघर्ष यथावत जारी रहे, लड़ाई जारी रहे।
And moving on now, the Assam Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sharma has once again reiterated his government's zero tolerance against corruption. Well, Sharma, briefing newspersons after the conclusion of the two-day DC conference in Tejpur, said that corruption cases have gradually come down as the government has initiated key steps to control the menace. Well, Sharma also highlighted the fact that digitization has played a pivotal role in limiting cases of corruption. Now, the Assam Chief Minister hopes that if everything falls in place, corruption will cease to exist and good governance will prevail. Well, the Assam Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sharma has once again reiterated his government's zero tolerance against corruption. Well, Sharma, briefing newsperson after the conclusion of the two-day DC conference in Tejpur, said that corruption cases have gradually come down as the government has initiated key steps to control the menace. Well, Sharma also highlighted the fact that digitization has played a pivotal role in limiting cases of corruption. The Assam Chief Minister hopes that if everything falls in place, corruption will cease to exist and good governance will prevail.
এতিয়া চাওক, সকলো আমাৰ জেনেৰেল ধাৰণা আছে যে অসমত দুৰ্নীতি কৰিব পৰা ৰাস্তাবিলাক লাহে লাহে মৰি আছে আৰু এতিয়া দুৰ্নীতি কৰিবৰ কাৰণে বহুত কম ব্যৱস্থা থাকি গৈছে, কাৰণ যিবিলাক দুৰ্নীতি হৈছিল ৰেচন কাৰ্ডে এতিয়া আধাৰ চিডিং হৈ গ'ল, গতিকে ভুৱা ৰেচন কাৰ্ড জুনৰ পৰা নাথাকে। যিমান ভুৱা ৰেচন কাৰ্ড আছিলে 30% মানুহৰ নাম নিজে নিজে কাটা যাব, কাৰণ আধাৰত জীৱন্ত মানুহে পাব। চ' এতিয়া অৰুণোদয় যিমানখিনি আৰ্থিকভাৱে স্বচ্ছ মানুহ আছিল নিজে নিজে বাদ পৰি যাব। গতিকে দুৰ্নীতিৰ বিৰুদ্ধে ফাইট কৰাটো এটা ছিষ্টেম ৰিফৰ্মছ লাগে আৰু আমি ছিষ্টেমবিলাক ৰিফৰ্ম কৰি গৈ আছো যাতে মানুহে দুৰ্নীতিৰ কথা বতৰা পতাই বন্ধ কৰি দিয়ে। চক, আজি গোটেই নিশা জিলা উপায়ুক্তসকল বহি থকা আৰু তেওঁলোকৰ প্ৰেজেণ্টেশ্যনত মই যিমান ফটো চালোঁ, অংগনবাদী কেন্দ্ৰত যোৱা, স্কুলত যোৱা, হস্পিটেলত যোৱা, ৰাতি যোৱা, এতিয়া ফটোৱেতো মিছা কথা নকয়। গতিকে ডেফিনেটলি কিন্তু কৰ্ম সংস্কৃতিতকৈ ডিজিটেলাইজ হৈ যোৱাৰ কাৰণে কম মানুহে কাম কৰিলেও এতিয়া আমি বেছি ৰিজাল্ট পাম, কাৰণ আমাক বহুত মানুহ এতিয়া নালাগে, লিন এণ্ড থিন মেচিন এটা দিয়ে আমি কাম কৰিব পৰা হৈ আছো, যদি আমি ডিজিটেল গভাৰ্নেন্সটো কমপ্লিট আমি কৰিব পাৰোঁ।
And moving on now, Manchester City has confirmed that Erling Haaland from Borussia Dortmund has signed a 5-year deal with the club till summer of 2027. Now, Haaland will join the club on July the 1st. The son of former City player Alfie, who signed almost 22 years ago to the day, Haaland Jr. is widely regarded as one of Europe's best strikers and arrives at the club with a formidable goal-scoring reputation following impressive spells at Molde, FK, Red Bull, Salzburg and Dortmund. Well, a 21-cap Norwegian international, Haaland scored 86 goals in 89 games in 2.5 seasons, with the Black and Yellows winning the German Cup and the Bundesliga Player of the Season award in 2020-2021. Now, after signing, the Haaland said it is a proud day for him and his family, as he has always watched City and loved doing so in recent seasons. He added that the club is perfect for a player like him. Well, Director of Football Triki Berigistian added that the club has been monitoring Erling for several years and the team is delighted to bring him to Manchester City. The director added that Haaland has a huge talent and has been one of the best strikers in Europe over the last few seasons. While his goal-scoring record is exceptional, and his performance at Borussia Dortmund and in the Champions League in particular have proved that he can succeed at the highest level, added the director. Well, Daniil Medvedev on Monday became the world #1 men's player for a second time after Novak Djokovic dropped to #3 in the ATP rankings. Well, just last week, Medvedev was in action at the Libema Open, where he marched to his second tour level final on grass at the ATP 250 event. Now, meanwhile, Medvedev's rise comes after Novak Djokovic failed to defend his crown at the French Open. Medvedev is unable to compete at this year's Wimbledon, as Russian and Belarusian players have been banned following Russian invasion of Ukraine. Well, ranking points, however, will not be awarded. For the first time in 19 years, none of the big three, Djokovic, Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, occupy the first two spots. While Rafael Nadal remains at the fourth spot despite losing 1,000 points gained from last year's French Open, while Djokovic has dropped 2,000 points from his winning run at Roland Garros last year. Now, with points from last year's edition dropping off this week, the Serb had slid down a couple of places to #3. French Open runner-up Casper Ruud has leapfrogged Stefanos Tsitsipas in 5th. Now, while Alexander Zverev climbed to #2 for the first time, the German, however, is facing a period on the sidelines after tearing ligaments in his right ankle during his first French semi-final with Nadal. Well, in a proud moment for the region, Mizoram defeated Kerala by 5-1 to win the boys' football tournament at the Khelo India Youth Games 2021. Well, staring for the Mizo team is winger Laltanzova and centre forward T. Malsao Zuala, scoring as many as 10 goals in their gold medal run. In fact, Laltanzova notched a sensational hat-trick in the final against Kerala, helping Mizoram to a 5-1 win to emerge as the tournament's top scorer with 7 goals in 5 games, making his debut for his state. While similarly, striker Malswam Zwala wants to be a professional footballer. The duo are products of the state-funded Regional Sports Training Center in Kolasi District and SYS Football Academy in Lunglei District. Now, the academies were shuttered for nearly 2 years because of the COVID pandemic, but now they are buzzing again. Its most famous alumni are rising Indian midfield star Laleng Mawya Ralte, aka Apuya, who plays for Mumbai City in the Indian Super League, left back Jerry Lalrinzwala, who plays for East Bengal, and midfielder Isaac Vanmal Sauma, who play for Odisha. Well, football has given Mizoram footballers a ticket to a prosperous future, what with so many of them playing for the ISL and the I-League clubs. Now, based on this outing at the KIYG 2021, it will not be long before the Indian clubs arrive with their checkbooks to sign this new generation of Mizo players. And moving on now, in a significant development, the Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Ki Zhen Hong, met his US counterpart Julie Shang in Colombo and held discussions on quote-unquote broad topics of mutual interest and pledged support in helping the island nation mitigate its crippling economic crisis. While commenting on the meeting, US Ambassador Chung said the discussion centered on the current political and economic situation in Sri Lanka and asserted that there was an exchange of ideas on trade, investment, and development. Now, both envoys agreed on the need to jointly come forward in helping Sri Lanka weather through the current economic and political crisis. Well, the meeting assumes significance and comes at a time when Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said that last week his government could not tap on the 1.5 billion US dollar credit line from China and is yet to hear back from Beijing on the 1 billion US dollar loans. Sri Lanka is currently facing its worst economic crisis since independence from Britain in 1948. Well, the economic crisis has prompted an acute shortage of essential items like food, medicine, cooking gas, and other fuel, toilet paper, and even matches, with Sri Lankan being forced to wait in lines lasting hours outside stores to buy fuel and cooking gas. All right, moving further now, unabated forgery of Indian documents has been exposed once again. Now, be it Rohingyas or the illegal Bangladeshis faking Indian documents, it seems to have turned into a normal affair. Well, this time, one Chinese national has been arrested along with a woman from Nagaland from a hotel in Gurugram. Now, the duo were initially detained and arrested later after a tip-off from the SSB, who had nabbed 2 Chinese nationals on the Indian-Nepal border on Saturday. Now, as per reports, the individuals have been identified as Zhu Fei, alias Kile, and P.T. Krino, while Kile is a Chinese national hailing from Xingji County in Hebei Province. P.T. Krino hails from Kohima in Nagaland. Now, the duo had been staying in JP Green in Greater Noida since 2019. Now, in 2020, Kile's visa had expired and he was staying in India illegally. Well, this is another big story we're tracking this moment. Unabated forgery of Indian documents being exposed once again. Be it Rohingyas or illegal Bangladeshis, faking Indian documents seem to have turned into a normal affair. Well, this time, one Chinese national has been arrested along with a woman from Nagaland from a hotel in Gurugram. The duo were initially detained and arrested, and later, after a tip-off from the SSB, who had nabbed the 2 Chinese nationals on the Indian-Nepal border on Saturday. And as per reports, the individuals have been identified as Zufei alias Kile and Pete Krino. Now, while Kile is a Chinese national hailing from Jingji County in Hebei province, Pete Krino hails from Kohima in Nagaland. Well, the duo had been staying in JP Green in Greater Noida since 2019. And in 2020, Kile's visa had expired and he was staying in India illegally.
थाना सुरसंड सीतामढ़ी बिहार के द्वारा यह सूचना प्राप्त हुई कि दो चीनी नागरिक द्वारा बॉर्डर पार करते समय जिनके पास भारत का वीज़ा नहीं था उनको एसएसबी के द्वारा गिरफ्तार किया गया है तथा सुरसंड थाने में अभियोग पंजीकृत किया गया है। पूछताछ में उन्होंने बताया है कि वह जेपी ग्रीन ग्रेटर नोएडा में अपने चीनी नागरिक मित्र के पास रुके थे। इस आधार पर उस चीनी नागरिक की पहचान की गई तथा गुरुग्राम हरियाणा से चीनी नागरिक को व उनकी महिला मित्र जो कि नागालैंड कोहिमा की रहने वाली हैं उनको पुलिस हिरासत में लिया गया। वहाँ से पूछताछ की गई, आवश्यक अभिलेख देखे गए तो यह पता चला कि चीनी नागरिक का जून 2020 में वीज़ा समाप्त हो चुका है। उनके द्वारा फोर्ज करके उस पर जून 2022 अंकित किया गया है। इन्होंने वीज़ा की शर्तों का उल्लंघन किया है तथा साथ ही फोर्स डॉक्यूमेंट प्रयोग किया है। सुसंगत धाराओं में चीनी नागरिक के विरुद्ध व उनकी महिला मित्र जो कि उनका साथ दिए हैं जो कि भारतीय नागरिक है उनके विरुद्ध अभियोग पंजीकृत किया गया है। अन्य सुरक्षा एजेंसियां आवश्यक पूछताछ कर रही हैं।
Now, moving on, Russia has extended support to a separatist leader from Donbas after the leader asked for additional forces from Moscow. Russia, in a statement, said its main goal of its military operation in Ukraine is to protect Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic. Well, Denis Pushilin, the leader of Russian-backed separatist Donetsk region of Ukraine, had said earlier on Monday that there has been increased fighting and shelling in the region. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov was quoted by Russia's RIA state news agency as saying, "In general, the protection of the republics is the main goal of the special military operation." RIA agency reported earlier that several civilians, including a child, died in shelling on Monday. Well, it needs to be mentioned here that Donetsk and Luhansk are two breakaway Russian-backed entities in the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine, which Russia says it is fighting to remove entirely from Kyiv's control. Well, Russia recognized the two regions as independent states on the eve of its invasion of Ukraine. Separatists seized control of large swathes of eastern Ukraine in 2014. Moscow calls it Action, a special military operation to disarm Ukraine and protect it from forces. While Ukraine and its allies in the West say that forces' allegation is baseless and the war is an unprovoked act of aggression. Now on to another big story. The rescue operation for the 11-year-old Rahul Sahu trapped in a 60 feet deep borewell continues in Malkharoda block of Chhattisgarh, with the administration saying that they will be able to rescue the child. It has been over 80 hours since Rahul fell into a deep borewell and remained stuck as personnel of the NDRF, the army and the police struggle to cut under surface rocks for setting up a tunnel from a parallel pit to reach the boy. Now, according to government officials, Sahu is conscious and showing movements. It may be mentioned here that over 500 personnel, including officials of the National Disaster Response Force, or the NDRF, the army, the local police, and the administration, are involved in the massive rescue operation, and that has been underway since Friday evening. Well, Rahul fell into the unused 80 feet deep borewell located in the backyard of his house in Fihirid village in Malkharoda development block around 2 p.m. on Friday while playing. And meanwhile, Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel, who is in constant touch with officials involved in rescue work, has directed the medical team to remain alert and create a green corridor to shift the child to the hospital as soon as he is rescued. A team of healthcare personnel has made all the necessary arrangements at the spot to provide immediate aid to the child, while an ambulance with all facilities has also been put in place to shift him to the Apollo Hospital in Bilapur. And that does it for us here on the bulletin, but I will be back with Morning Prime. Stay with us.
Northeast Live, the most viewed news channel in the region. On YouTube, unmatched coverage.
Introducing the new Suzuki Avenus, the sportiest, zippiest ride in town that's loaded with next generation GPS navigation.
নতুন মিউজিক ডাইরেক্টর রোহানে এতিয়ালৈকে মিউজিক পঠোৱা নাই।
I've got it. The new Suzuki Avenus. More zip for trip.
সুগন্ধ ৰং আৰু সোৱাদ খাতি
এভৰিডে জিভাত দিয়ে আচল জুতি
এভৰিডে স্পাইচেছ 100% টেষ্ট এভৰিডে স্পাইচেছ বেষ্ট
आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में बड़े छोटे साथ आओ ऐश करो नाच गाओ मस्ती में आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में
आज साल में हमने संभव को संभव कर डाला है डूबे सूरज का देखो पश्चिम में भी उजाला है रात गई अब दिन आएगा भी तो ये बस भोर है ये भारत का नया दौर 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 है
सेवा, सुशासन और गरीब कल्याण।
অভূতপূর্ব ভ্যারাইটি, অপূর্ব মূল্য। ডাউনলোড মিশো।
Evening Prime, the prime time news at 7. Now, in a whole new look. Only on Northeast Live. Your station, your voice.
Hello to all our viewers and welcome to Morning Prime. I'm Aaron Lingdo. Let's take a look at the headlines. Abducted Manipur village chief released along with another individual. Abductors yield to relentless rescue and search operations by forces. Enforcement Directorate to quiz Congress leader Rahul Gandhi again today. The Grand Old Party decries probe by investigating agency, terms it foul play. Daredevil operations continue in Chhattisgarh to rescue child trapped in borewell for more than 80 hours. Government exudes confidence of rescuing the child safely. Unabated forgery of Indian documents out in the open. Chinese national arrested along with a lady from Nagaland in Gurugram. Chinese national accused of staying in India illegally. And the Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma sends out strong message against corruption, says digitization has brought down menace to a great extent. All right, we have a big breaking news just in. 2 persons lost their lives while 2 others are feared dead in a landslide at the Boragao area in Guwahati. Now, the bodies of 2 victims have already been retrieved. The victims were staying at tenants in a campus owned by Nayan Rajbongshi. Well, the victims have been identified as Manowar Hussain, Matyur Haq, Hasinu Ali, and Amrul Haq. Well, this is the big breaking we're tracking this morning. 2 persons lost their lives while 2 others are feared dead in a landslide at Boragao area in Guwahati. Now, the bodies of two victims have already been retrieved. The victims were staying as tenants in a campus owned by Nayan Rajbongshi. The victims have been identified as Manowar Hussain, Matiur Haq, Hasinul Ali, and Amrul Haq.
ৰাতি আমি গম পাইছিলোঁ কি লেণ্ডশ্লাইড হৈছে বৰাগাঁও জেগাটোত আৰু গম পাই আমি ৰাতি আহিলোঁ ৰাতি আহি পেলাই এইখিনি আমি দেখিলোঁ কি ৱাল ভাঙি পিছফালে পাহাৰ আছিলে আৰু আমি গম পোৱা তাত 4জন লেবাৰ মানে ওচৰৰ বাসিন্দাৰ পৰা আমি গম পাইছোঁ সোমাই আছিলে শুই আছিলে ৰাতি হয়তো তেওঁলোকে গম নাপালে হঠাতে এই ঘটনাটো ঘটিল ৱাল ভাঙি মাটি পাহাৰখিনি ভিতৰলৈ সোমাই আহিলে 4জন বুলি আমি এতিয়ালৈ গম পাইছোঁ আমি কাম কৰি আছোঁ আৰু জানাত 3জন ধুবুৰীৰ হ'ব লাগে আৰু এজন কোকৰাঝাৰৰ হ'ব লাগে তেওঁলোকে ইয়াতে কনষ্ট্ৰাকশ্যন কাম কৰি আছে ফ্লেটৰ কাম চলি আছিলে আৰু তেওঁৰ লেবাৰ হিচাপে ইয়াতে ভাড়া কৰি আছিলে গোটেই ৰাতি আমি কাম কৰি আছোঁ
নিশা ৰাতি 1:30মান বজাতে ঘটনাটো ঘটিছে আমি তেতিয়া টোপনিতে আছিলোঁ পাহাৰত যেতিয়া ধস নামি যায় আমি চাউণ্ডটো পাওঁ আৰু মানুহ আছিলে সিহঁতে চব ওলাই গ'ল ওলাই যোৱাৰ পিছত আমি যেতিয়া দেখা পালো সম্পূৰ্ণ মাটি যেতিয়া নামি আহিছে তাতে লেবাৰ কনষ্ট্ৰাকশ্যনৰ কাম চলি আছে লেবাৰবিলাক তাতে আছিলে মিস্ত্ৰী লেবাৰ তো দেখা পোৱাৰ পিছত ইহঁতক এতিয়ালৈকে আমি উদ্ধাৰ কৰিব পৰা নাই কাম চলি আছে আপোনালোকে দেখা পাইছে মাটিৰ তলত সোমাই গৈছে মাটিৰ তলত 4জনে সোমাই গৈছে বহুত মাটি নামি আহিছে আপোনালোকে দেখাই পাইছে বহুত মাটি নামি আহিছে তো এতিয়া এনডিএফৰ কাৰণে কাম কৰি আছে পুলিচো আহিছে এতিয়ালৈকে আমি নাম কেইটা আমি এতিয়ালৈকে গম পোৱা নাই একচুৱেলি জাগাটোৰ নাম আমি এনেকুৱা কৰি নাজানো তো মিস্ত্ৰী লেবাৰ এনেকুৱা থাকে আৰু এইটো আমাৰ যি ঠিকাদাৰ আছে সিহঁতে গম পাব তেখেতৰ লগত ঘৰৰ মানুহো আহিছে অলৰেডি মাটিটো কাৰ আচলতে কি নাম এই মাটিটো হ'ল সুবল চন্দ্ৰ চৰকাৰৰ তেখেতে বিক্ৰী কৰিছে নয়ন ৰাজবংশীৰ তো নয়ন ৰাজবংশীৰ তাতে ইহঁতে কনষ্ট্ৰাকশ্যনৰ মানুহবিলাক তাতে ভাড়া আছিলে
নেপালৰ বৰষুণতে এই মাটিবিলাক খহি আহি কিনে আমাৰ ঘৰবিলাক একদম ধ্বংস হৈ গ'ল নহয় গতিকে আমি ভাবাই নাছিলোঁ এনেকুৱা হ'ব বুলি এনেকুৱাতে আৰু হৈ গ'ল এক্সিডেণ্ট হয়তো আমি আছোঁ আৰু নেক্সট আমাৰ নাতিন আৰু মোৰ ছোৱালী আছে আপোনালোকলৈ আমি মোটামুটি 10 মিনিট পিছতে গম পাইছোঁ যেতিয়াতো শব্দ ওলাল তেতিয়া আমি ওলাই আহিছোঁ ওলাই আহি আমি ইহঁতক গৰু ওলাই কিনে ওলাই দিলোঁ সিহঁতে চব মাটিৰ তলত কোন 4জন মানুহ কি কৰিছিলে সিহঁতে এই কাম কৰি আছিল বিল্ডিং
Now, putting all speculations at rest, two individuals who were abducted from Manipur's Churachandpur district have been released. Well, this indeed is a big development after security forces launched intensive rescue and search operations since June the 12th, after the duo were abducted by suspected rebels. Now, the two victims who were kidnapped are Kam Muan Pao, the founder of Zomi Fin's music band, and also the chief of MT Jaltam village. The other victim has been identified as Gokhan Thang, hailing from Khajang in Churachandpur. While putting all speculations at rest, now two individuals who were abducted from Manipur's Churachandpur district have been released. Well, this indeed is a big development after security forces launched intensive rescue and search operations since June the 12th, after the duo were abducted by suspected rebels. Now, the two victims who were kidnapped are Kam Muan Pao, who is the founder of Zomi Fin's music band, and also the chief of MT Jaltam village. The other victim has been identified as Gokhan Thang, hailing from Khajang in Churachandpur. Now, meanwhile, daughter of the abducted village chief has expressed gratitude to one and all who have helped in securing her father's safe release. Let's listen in.
Today, for the safety return of my father, I express my sincere gratitude to our Heavenly Father and all the people who are involved for the safety return of my father. Today, for the safety return of my father, I express my sincere gratitude to our Heavenly Father and all the people who are involved for the safety return of my father.
Let's take a look now at the big national focus. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi has been asked to rejoin the investigation of the